everyone, this is Renee from Meadowlark Mystic, and I am doing kind of a combo video. So the first part is a VR to Shyfox, her hashtag Summerlovin'Tarot. I wanted to take part in that. I watched her video, and I also watched Monique's video from Dead Serious Woo. Super happy and excited to see this tag and also Monique. So I'm doing a different setup again, trying to get a little bit of distance from my desk. I apologize if some of the cards are awkwardly held. I'm still learning that it's kind of in reverse. So the VR to Shyfox is Summerlovin'Tarot, and it has 3 questions. The first one is the summer school deck. So that's the deck that you want to use the summer to kind of dive into and study. Number 2 is the summer fun deck. So that's the deck that you use when you go out to picnics and parties, and you use when you want to read for other people, more of a social deck. And then the third is the summer nights deck. And that would be the deck that you use maybe more for personal, intimate readings. So the first deck I wanted to talk about from the summer school is this deck. This is the Tarot of Fire. It's a low Scarabeo deck. I've talked about it a little bit on my channel. I was just going to flip through some cards that I think are really beautiful. This deck is complicated. It has a lot of myths from all over the world. And although I really love a lot of the images, I'm finding it difficult to remember all the different stories that go with each card. You know, like the myth that goes with this one for the 6 of Chalices. But I feel like I'm up to the challenge because I love this deck. I use it in a lot of different ways, which I've discussed on my channel before. For subconscious work, for mythic work, for the energies that's flowing through a situation. This is an absolutely beautiful 2 of Wands. I love that image so much. This one is very evocative, very powerful images from religious traditions. Same with this one. This is a beautiful 6 of Swords in movement. And this is just like an intense, cool, creepy 5 of Swords with that witch holding on to the back leg of the, or the, the foot of the swan. So that's the Tarot of Fire, and I'll be studying that more this summer. So that's my summer school deck. Number 2 is summer fun. So for that deck, I have 2. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Connolly Tarot. These are the backs. I really like this deck. I do find it really fun. I love this 10 of Swords. I actually really like how in this deck the wands are green. I'm going to talk a little bit more about elemental associations, but even though that's not my preferred element for the wands, I still really like it. I don't enjoy jesters usually, but I actually like it for the 2 of Pentacles. The Emperor, I love how he's outside and how his robes are green, so I really like that a lot. This deck is, I've talked about it before, it's got that 80s vibe. It's kind of high gloss, as you can see. I got it in a trade, and I just really enjoy it, and I find that other people really enjoy it too. This is a wonderful, the bandages instead of on him are on the wands, and they create like a threshold that he'll walk through. The pyramid is green in the back, so I really enjoy this deck, and this is a really fun deck for summer fun. And then the other deck I wanted to share, I've shared it a little as well, like the last time, but that's the After Tarot. This is a really fun deck. There's a gnome in the Page of Pentacles. The king is looking at the falcon who's come back with word. And then this is, right in front of him. So what does he stand for? The knight is in this beautiful watery, he's even drinking from his cup. I love that you see the archer. This is really fascinating. Like it's done. It's finished, and they're moving on to the next phase, and that's what you need to do too. And I love this 10. Okay, everything is so bad, but what are you going to do? How are you going to move forward? So that's the After Tarot, and I chose that for those two decks for my summer fun. The next and last question is the Summer Nights, and that deck would be the more intimate, personal cards. And I got a vintage edition that was still wrapped in plastic of the Arthurian Tarot, and these are the backs of the older edition. I really prefer this to the new edition, just because the cardstock seems, it's still very flexible and it's thin, but it seems sturdier. I just love these cards so much. They are definitely portals, gateways into another world. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. Gateways that I can easily step into. I've been working very extensively with this deck and with the book that goes with it, which I already spoke about. So that's my Summer Nights. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm also just going to do a reflection on June. Oh, I wanted to thank Shyfox so much for that tag. It was super fun. I'm going to now reflect on June. I actually did a video on June, and so I'm just going to say real quick, June was a month of growth and self-acceptance for me. And so the deck that I kind of wanted to share in regards to that, sorry, I should have gotten it out. I mean, I thought I did get it out, but I guess I didn't. Is the Karma Angels, and this is the box. It's a really nice box. Gosh, I really apologize. It's going to be a hurly video. So the Karma Angels, and you know, last time I said I really like this deck because of the kind of quirky guidebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this card down and I'm going to read you a little from the guidebook. So Nith Haya, I think is how you pronounce that, but I'm not really sure. So that's number 10. So you look up number 10, and what it says is solitude and serenity. A poet angel who brings joy and confidence into your life. This being will also reveal hidden mysteries. The card shows that any book of secrets will be opened, and you will be able to gain clarity. Until that time, you must remain by yourself and not take hasty action. And when I pulled that, it was so apt for what was happening. So the challenge of this card is bearing in solitude, and the lesson is the answer is within. So that gives you a little taste of this deck and also the guidebook. I found it super healing and helpful for the challenges of June. And then I also discussed some of the decks that I've been using in June in my last video. So for July plans, I've got several things going on. Obviously, I'm going to be continuing with the Arthurian Tarot. It's at least a year long, the Arthurian course work, Hollow Quest. So I'm just going to be continuing that. I'm also going to finish this deck that I started. So I started recoloring the Universal Rider-Waite, and I started recoloring it in, well, elemental colors because I thought it would be fun. So, oops, sorry, jeez. So these are the cards that I've done so far. It's a little trickier than you might think at first. I'm actually going to go back and make that more green. You can't just change, like I couldn't change, if I needed to, well, I'll see in another. You can't just change a color to an opposite color. It just won't work. You have to use a color that's like one step removed from it. So this trunk was brown. So I couldn't make it orange easily, but I could make it purple. So you have to be a little bit careful with the colors you choose to change. I'm going to, like, for example, this background of yellow, it would be difficult for me to make that blue, for example. It would be impossible, actually, with the colors that I'm using. I'm going over the pre-existing Universal Weight. So this is a good example. I don't really want so much yellow in this Swords card. I wanted it to be more muted, but you can't easily change the background color cooler than this. Yellow is kind of the coolest of the warm colors, so I had to leave the background that way. So I'm just also obviously, so swords are a lighter blue, cups are pink, and wands are orange. You might wonder why I didn't do yellow for the swords, and the reason for that is I wasn't, if yellow is your dominant color, you wouldn't really be changing much in the interior of the card with yellow. You know, like the cloud could be yellow and the sword could be yellow, but the darker colors, it would be harder to make them, you know, really yellow, and there's already a lot of existing yellow. So also for me, you know, the incisive, oh shoot, the incisive nature of the swords is very kind of cold and blue like that. And then of course I wanted the pentacles to be green, because I definitely, and I find the green is the easiest. It's easy to make things green. So that is my elemental Rider-Waite-Smith that I'm going to continue for July. I'm going to continue finishing that. And then I also want to finish this BOTA deck. So I started coloring this BOTA deck. It comes completely black and white. So these are, you know, colors that I've done. And this was super fun. I just used colored pencils on this, and the Elemental Rider-Waite-Smith, which is the deck I just mentioned, I used Sharpies. So this is all colored pencils. And I'm going to continue with this deck. These are just the cards that I've done though so far. Oh my gosh, I think I've hit the camera every single time. It's very difficult, this. I've got some really crazy setup. If you saw it, you would laugh. Whoa, I really like how this Justice turned out. This is an egg. It's a limestone egg. So it has inclusions of, I don't know why the camera's not focusing on it. It has inclusions of like plankton and shells and life, and it's so calming and soothing. I had no intention of getting it, and then I picked it up. And it was like, oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll just keep going through these. This death card, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Okay, so these are what they look like when you get them. And you'll notice some differences. You know, it is a slightly different deck, but when you get to the end of the majors, you really notice the difference because it turns into a pip deck. So, which is perfectly fine for me, but other people might not like that. So that's the BOTA deck, and I'm going to continue with that. And then the other decks that I want to keep working with for July are the Modern Spellcasters. I really like this deck. The more I work with it, the more I like it. It's, yeah, I just really jive with this deck. It's weird, like the horn, I mean, I love that. Yeah, it's weird and creepy, like that death card, super creepy, but I find that I really like it now, even more that I have it in the hand. So I want to work with the Modern Spellcasters, and I want to work with this, the True Love Tarot. So this deck has kind of a funny history. I got it off of eBay, and it had been damaged by water. So obviously it's a pip deck, and it gives you a keyword at the bottom. Sometimes I agree with the keywords, and sometimes I don't, but it doesn't really matter. So this deck, yes, I got it from eBay. It was secondhand. It had water damage, and some of the cards were stuck together. It was only $7, so I said to myself, maybe I should just, you know, just throw it away, because the cards were, you know, you can tell. They're damaged so much that you could really tell. But then I started, you know, working with it, you know, really looking at it, and I felt sad. I felt sad to do that. to just throw it away. So I did some major, I'm trying to see if I can find the card that I did major work on. I had to actually go in and recolor. Let me see if I can find it. I had to go in and redo the Fool card. I'm trying to find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the Fool card was very badly damaged. When I pulled it away from the card below it, and you can see if you look close. I mean, you can see. But this whole section, all the way up to here, was white. All this was white because it had pulled off the entire surface layer of the color. So I went in with my colored pencils and recolored all of this white to match. It really was a labor of love, but it actually made me like the deck more. It's definitely really my deck now, as opposed to just, you know, a deck that I bought. So it's funny how that works sometimes. A similar thing happened with the Psychic Tarot for the Heart. It was damaged, and so it ended up trimming off the gilded edges, which sounds kind of crazy. But then it made me bond to the deck way more. You can see here, that's where it was really damaged. And I just like tried to match the color as best I could. Anyway, it doesn't really affect my readings. I don't really notice it that much. So I want to work with the True Love Tarot. And then the last tarot that I'd like to work with more is the Gaian Tarot. I find this deck really helpful in the summer months. For me, the summer is kind of a difficult time because it's so hot here. I need some like kind of comfort and connection to spirit. This is trimmed. And if you are going to trim the Gaian Tarot, be careful of the World card. It's the only card that's smaller, significantly smaller than the others. And I didn't check that. I should have. That was my bad. But anyway, I still really love it. These is colored pencils, amazingly, and it's just a phenomenal deck. Really beautiful, and I want to work with that more in July. Okay, my friends, that's going to do it. I hope you all are doing well. I hope wherever you are in the world that you are happy and healthy and always allowing yourself to grow and embrace whoever it is that you are in that month. And I will see you or talk to you soon. Bye.